My name is Saul Almanza. I'm a BART safety trainer. I've been with BART for 17 years. I'm also the vice president of the BART professional chapter, and I'm also one of the negotiators at the table.
Now, you have been involved in health and safety issues at BART. What are some of your concerns that have been raised in negotiation? What are the issues for you as far as health and safety?
Well, first of all, being a safety trainer and having lost two friends, co-workers there at BART, being struck by trains, it's a very serious issue to me. I think that not only is it an issue for the worker, but it's also an issue for the rider as well. One of the issues that we have at the table is lighting in the subway areas, stations, as well as the shop areas that our workers work in. The lighting's inadequate. It needs to be improved. As the ridership grows, in the event of emergency, how would we be able to evacuate passengers safely out of the train and into another rescue train? For our workers that go out there every night or every day, yeah, we have flashlights, but sometimes that's not.
So why do they refuse to put in lighting?
It's hard to say. I mean, after the 2001 incident that we lost our coworker, Robert Rose, may rest in peace, at M55, which is an interlocking near 24th Street Mission Station. I asked that over and over again, why don't we improve the lighting there? And they said that the lighting was adequate. It's not adequate. I mean, and it's the same. It remains the same. There's been no improvements to that lighting ever since he was struck by the train. What are we waiting for? Another fatality? The vegetation out there in the trackway needs to be cut back. They refuse to allow for a dedicated crew to be established on grave shift when we can get the work done without impacting revenue service, as they call it. And yet they continue to fight us on this issue. We feel that that's an alarming response to our request. We lost another coworker that was walking alongside the trackway and was struck by a train because he did not see the train coming, and the vegetation was severely overgrown.
Now, there have been health and safety citations by Cal OSHA at BART that have been, Cal OSHA said they have to be dealt with, they have to be rectified. What's been the response of BART management and the board of directors to that?
Well, their response in the past has always been hire an outside attorney law firm and fight these charges by Cal OSHA and PUC. That's their whole mantra is fight, 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 defend, defend, defend. It's never the attitude of let's come together, let's hear their safety concerns, let's find solutions. It's no, let's defend ourselves. That's their attitude. And so for us, we're sick and tired of getting these excuses. We're getting sick and tired of having to fight these citations that we have to defend. I should say we have to defend these citations because of the fact that these are citations that are from an outside entity that are coming and asking and inquiring with BART. But BART yet continues to fight and hire outside law firms to bolster their position that they weren't wrong or they weren't culpable in whatever the incident was.
So you're saying they're using public money of the public, the riders, to fight citations by Cal OSHA that need to be rectified, that they should clean up these issues?
Right. I mean, that's yes, they're using public funds to defend themselves. Yet at the same time, they're using that same attitude and the resources to fight us at the table as well. They sit there and they attack the worker and say that we're making X amount, and yet it's saying that it's public money, but yet it's okay for them to abuse the public money and fight these Cal OSHA offenses.
Now, have they also said that they don't have to bargain around health and safety issues?
That's what they've said. They said that it's not a contractual issue, and so to us we find that alarming because that's what bargaining is about: health and safety, collective bargaining, and they just refuse to come and bring a counter to our proposal.
Now, Tom Radolovich, who's the chair of the BART board, represents San Francisco people in the Mission District. He said on the television this morning that, in fact, that they've offered a fair agreement and that there are people that are pressuring them that say that you overpaid and your pay should be cut. Where do you think he's coming from?
I have no idea. It's not from planet Earth as far as I'm concerned, because the way I was raised is you treat someone with respect and you hear their concerns, and yet to me it's more of a personal attack from him on the workers and the labor organizations that he's attacking. These are elected officials and they're forgetting that their actions are not only impacting what's going on at the table, thus affecting the public, the riding public. And I would hope that the public would see this and take the consideration next time they vote to vote folks out that are driving workers out on strike and not doing the responsible thing of bargaining in good faith.
Now, in the last negotiations, the PR director of BART actually said that people should go to the station agents and challenge them, and there were physical assaults that took place by mad passengers against BART. What do you think about that kind of approach?
I think that's such a dangerous approach. It's against the law for any outside folk to come after a transit employee, for one. Number two, BART's spokesperson, by the way, I invited to my safety training class when she came to BART. I've yet to see her show up. So she has no idea when it's mentioned that there's a smoke screen that we're using this for bargaining. Completely false. I would encourage all the BART board of directors and any manager to come to my safety class and get a better perspective of what the worker does and how dangerous it is out there in the field.
Now, Thomas P. Hawk has been brought in at $100,000 a month, $399,000 contract, and I understand that some BART board members were going to negotiations, and he was saying he wouldn't negotiate with the board members there.
Yeah, that's just his style,
So in other words, the BART board members were not allowed to be there when there was negotiation taking place. That's Thomas P. Hawk's position?
Well, we didn't necessarily hear that it was his position, but we heard that was BART's position, that they didn't want them there while we were at the table. I will say this: when we were at SEIU was at the supplemental table with the other negotiator that they have, Bruce Conhane, the two board of directors were watching what was going on, and it really made them very nervous. So I'm sure that's Tom Hawk's position, because they don't want to expose what their game plan is.
And what is this Viola Transportation Company? I understand in the last strike they were getting money. There were buses from Viola being used that his company, that he is vice president of, and who he's working now for BART, was actually being used to help bring in buses and other transportation equipment?
Yeah, a complete conflict of interest. I find it very disturbing when we made the complaint of a conflict of interest, and yet at the same time BART management and BART spokesperson, including Tom Hawk himself, said it's only $500. What's the big deal? It's public money. This is money that belongs to the system, not to these contractors that come in and want to bust the unions and take away the riding privileges of the public. This is just alarming.
Now, all the transit agencies in the Bay Area, MTA, it seems like they're united in organizing to replace the BART workers if you do go on strike, and also they're providing free bus rides into San Francisco. How could that be? Free bus rides.
Yeah, free. I know. You would hope that the money they spend on these buses, that they would better be served finding a fair contract for the workers. Yet this is the type of management that they got, and I think it's a plan. It's a plan to try to bust our union. It's an attack on the middle class. It's an attack on labor organizations that, really frankly just want to bargain in good faith.
And there are other unions whose contracts are up, AC Transit, and they're facing concession demands, tens of thousands of UC workers, the Hayward SEIU members. It seems like there's a pattern here where the employers are basically taking a hard line and want austerity concession bargaining.
Well, I see that. You're right. It's happening everywhere, and it's unfortunate that in America, where the American dream as we once knew it is being stomped on by these corporate greedy attitudes that now have ascended in public entities like BART. And BART was set up for the public, and we are public employees proudly serving the public, and yet we're attacked not only from BART management but also from the BART board, and making these horrible attacks about how much we make. To me it's unfair for them to sit there and say these things when yet their management is not making any concessions at all. Matter of fact, to the contrary, BART General Manager Grace Kruniken enjoyed a $20,000 increase, along with, I'm sure, many other of her subordinates, while we gave up $100 million in concessions.
Now, you're going to have a 5-day supposed arbitration, and then the governor may or may not put in a 30-day or 60-day cooling off period. Where's the end game with this thing? It seems like it go on for months at this rate.
And I think that's what it seems like to me BART management wants. They want to vilify us. They want to, create this toxicity in the Bay Area of making labor look like we're the ones that are sucking and leaching, the funds of BART, and which is completely untrue. I'll say this. BART has spent millions and millions of dollars on various projects around the system that we could name, and these systems don't even work. One, for instance, they incorporated a computer system internally that doesn't work at all. I mean, and it's had problems, and people have tried to make fixes, and yet we're the ones that are leaching the system.
So there's no accountability with management. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, there's no accountability, and it just drives us furious because, why is it they're trying to say do the right thing when they're not doing the right thing?
Now, there was during this last 30-day cooling off period, there was a gag rule agreed to by both sides. What happened during the time of the gag rule? Did they abide by the gag rule?
Oh, no, absolutely not. They did not abide by the gag rule. They would say at the table that it wasn't them that was saying this, but we said that's baloney, because they could easily tell their spokespeople just explain the very fact that they cannot explain the numbers in the public, and yet they did. They had blown up charts, graphs, colored charts showing the press. This is how much the average BART worker makes. This is what they're asking for. Complete assault and attack, and a complete disregard for the state labor secretary who appointed these mediators, and the mediators' demand was that we did not, let this out in the press.
Now, I mean, one of the issues that I saw, in fact, from them is they're saying that they want to get rid of your overtime after 8 hours and want to have a 40-hour week. What's that about?
Well, to them, they're, again, another attack on the worker, trying to blame us for things that, go wrong when management has their own issues, and that's the real problem. This is a problem that they create. In other words, when there's an event that goes on, like a concert or a ball game, and then they ask people, hey, we need you to come in. They want to, elevate their staff. Well, we come to the call, and we work, and we spend time away from our families to, earn a better living, and yet we're attacked because they're saying that we're abusing overtime. It's completely false. They're the ones that are asking us to come to work. We come to work, and now they don't want to pay us overtime.
Now, the developers, the billionaires in San Francisco, these big corporations, there's no transit tax on them, and they're a main beneficiary of transportation, mass transportation in the Bay Area. Shouldn't they be really paying for the workers that are being brought in by BART, the BART system?
Well, sure. I mean, the way I look at it is everyone has to give, as everyone likes to say. Well, it's funny when you read billboards or ads in magazines that say conveniently located near BART. And yet, and that's a great thing. Don't get me wrong. Housing we need, businesses we need. And by the way, we as BART workers patronize these businesses. And that's the thing. No one looks at the cyclical effect that BART workers have on their communities. But I will say this, I agree. I think that these businesses that are built around BART should also help fund the system. The system is aging, but yet at the same time, it's now asked of the workers to fund
new trains.
I think that's so funny because it's like, first of all, they're buying trains from a maker that's not even U.S. owned, and that was a big problem for us as labor organizations to see this work go to an outsourced to an outside company, out of this country. Of course, they say they're going to build the trains here, but that's not the same. It's unfortunate that American labor has taken a hit like that. But, the trains, they want 1,000 trains. As it stands right now, we have 667 trains. I hope we have the space to house 1,000 trains. Good luck.
They want you to pay for the trains.
Yes, they want us to pay for the trains. They want us to pay for this train control system. They want us to pay for.
Isn't the developers are the ones that are making money?
Oh, yeah.
Who are getting the advantage of having these new trains and new stations and that kind of thing?
Sure, absolutely. I mean, a lot of big major corporations, big developers are coming in and doing all this work. You know, I understand that us folks within BART probably don't have the capabilities of building a new station, but at the same time, you know, it's on this progression. We have to build. Why don't we maintain what we have first and then build after?
Okay, and what can people do who want to support your struggle?
Well, first of all, I'd say visit keepbartrunning.com. We give updates on what's going on, and there's a lot of good information there. Also, I would ask that the citizens of the Bay Area contact their BART elected board member and, you know, explain to them that BART needs to negotiate in good faith and come to the table and be serious about negotiating and not play games. I think it's very dangerous that you know, the public doesn't get to see that side. They just see what BART management puts out. So I would encourage them to get a hold of the BART board of directors, also their local legislators and the governor, and have them, you know, see that they too should have a voice in this. Because one thing that BART management did is they went to Sacramento frequently to drive the politicians from not getting involved in our negotiations. And they still stand by that now. So, you know, it affects everyone, and I think that they should get a hold of their local elected officials.